Now, I told y'all, the Indiana Fever don't look too bad, baby. My goodness. They put hands, feet, kneecaps, ankle brace, everything all over the whole city of New York. Sabrina, Ionescu, and Breanna Stewart looking like ancient people. I ain't lying. These young ladies looked sensational. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn.
Look at that energy. That's not just excitement about a preseason win. That's validation. The Indiana Fever just dismantled the New York Liberty. And if you've been following this team's transformation, you know exactly why this performance matters. Because 5 months ago, this franchise was a punchline. Today, they just made Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu look pedestrian.
There was a lot to look at.
Implementing in the offseason. Defense being one of them for the Fever.
Bench is so good,
y'all. Johnson with the ball in their hands. Nice pass. Timpson.
I'm not even gonna lie. The Fever bench is nasty, bro. They might have the best bench in all of the WNBA. Like, we knew that there was a chance that they was going to be good, but our bench is really, really good.
Here's what happened in Brooklyn on this preseason matchup. The Fever bench outplayed one of the most expensive rosters in WNBA history, and we need to talk about what that means because this wasn't supposed to happen. The Liberty are the defending Eastern Conference champions. They've got 2 Olympic gold medalists in their starting lineup. They're built to dominate, but watch what the Fever did with their second unit. Raven Johnson, the rookie defensive specialist from South Carolina, played 18 minutes and put on an absolute clinic. 3 steals, 3 blocks, 0 turnovers. She went 3 for 3 from the field, and every single possession she was involved in, you could see Liberty players second-guessing their decisions.
Raven Johnson, bro, was all over the place. Raven Johnson was all over the place, bro. I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
In the lane.
Look at this, bro. Look at this. Just incredible. And just think, Aaliyah Boston didn't play. Lexi Hall didn't play. Dantas didn't play. Now, one player that kind of disappointed me, I gotta say, and be all the way real with y'all, was Monique Billings.
That bench depth is the story nobody saw coming. Last season, the Fever had the worst bench production in the league. Their second unit got outscored by an average of 12 points per game. It was so bad that head coach Christy Sides couldn't run a normal rotation, Nanis. She had to ride her starters into the ground just to stay competitive. Fast forward to this preseason game. The Fever bench outscored the Liberty bench by 17 points. 17. And this is against a team that just added depth pieces specifically to address their own bench issues. Kelly Krauskopf, the Fever's new president of basketball operations, completely rebuilt this roster in 4 months. She brought in Damiris Dantas for veteran leadership and floor spacing. She drafted Celeste Taylor in the first round for perimeter defense. She signed Lexi Hull to a contract extension because she recognized her three-point shooting would be crucial. But the most important move, drafting Raven Johnson in the second round. Because what we saw in this game is exactly what South Carolina fans watched for 3 years. A defensive disruptor who makes everyone around her better.
Hey.
The ball in their hands.
Hey, she worth that money, man. Watch this. Watch this right here. Watch Kelsey Mitchell. Laser. Dark. Splash, bruh. Splash.
She is bringing up
Johnson, bruh. Raven Johnson get coast to coast on this. Watch her. My goodness, Raven looked good, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Raven Johnson, she looked damn good, man. We ain't tripping off no Asia Wilson, bro.
Now let's talk about Caitlin Clark, because her performance tells us something important about how this team is going to function. 7 points, 4 assists in limited minutes. She played maybe 20 minutes total because this was preseason, and Christy Sides was managing rotations. But in those 20 minutes, she set the tone immediately. First 5 minutes of the game, Clark had 6 points. She came out aggressive, hunting her shot, attacking the Liberty's defensive scheme before they could adjust. And then watch what happened. She started facilitating. 4 assists in a preseason game where she barely played the second half. That's not padding stats, that's running an offense. Here's what's significant about that approach. Last season, Clark had to do everything. She was the offense. If she wasn't scoring or creating, the Fever couldn't generate quality looks. The pressure on her was immense, and it showed in her turnovers and her efficiency numbers early in the season. This year, she's got weapons. When the Liberty tried to trap her on the perimeter, she had outlets. Kelsey Mitchell was knocking down catch-and-shoot threes. Sophie Cunningham was cutting to the basket. Raven Johnson was pushing in transition. Clark didn't have to force anything, and that's going to be the difference between a playoff team and a championship contender.
And Caitlin Clark made it look easy. Sophie Cunningham came out gunslinging. Gunslinging threes. Sophie looked like she could have got. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sophie Cunningham should have got more money. I'm sorry. They should have did whatever they had to do to make sure Sophie got a big bag. And they should have gave her some more years. They definitely should have gave her, look, why Caitlin video freezing and glitching? Why Caitlin video glitching, bruh?
That defensive intensity is what changes everything. Last season, the Fever were 27th in defensive rating, 27th out of 12 teams. Yes, their defense was so bad it broke the scale. They gave up an average of 92 points per game, and in close games, opponents could just attack them repeatedly in the final minutes. This preseason game, the Liberty scored 48 points in the first half, and then the Fever clamped down. Second half, they held New York to just 37 points. That's a 43% reduction in scoring efficiency. And it wasn't just effort, it was scheme and personnel. Raven Johnson's presence completely changed their pick and roll coverage. Last year, when teams ran pick and roll against the Fever, they were getting clean looks at the rim or wide open threes. Johnson can navigate screens, recover to shooters, and still contest at the rim. She's 6 feet tall with a 7-foot wingspan, and she plays with the kind of anticipation you usually only see from veterans. Christy Sides can now run defensive schemes that were impossible last season. She can switch 1 through 4. She can trap ball handlers without leaving shooters wide open. She can press full court without worrying about getting beat in transition. That versatility is what turns a 20-win team into a 40-win team.
Over there.
Watch Caitlin. Splash! The net barely drizzle. The net didn't even move for real. Splash! Watch Caitlin. Watch Caitlin. Watch Caitlin. Splash! Sophie Cunningham.
Alley-oop, go now. Alley-oop, go.
Oh, you caught up quick.
So it looked like the game.
Sophie Cunningham's performance deserves more attention than it's getting. She came out and immediately started knocking down threes, went 3 for 5 from beyond the arc in the first half. And if you're wondering why that matters, consider this. The Fever ranked last in three-point shooting percentage last season at 29%, dead last. Cunningham shot 37% from 3 last season with the Phoenix Mercury. She's a career 35% three-point shooter across 6 WNBA seasons. That's exactly the kind of floor spacing Clark needs to operate. When defenses have to respect shooters on the perimeter, it opens up driving lanes. It creates easier assists. It makes the offense flow. But here's the business side of this that's worth discussing. Cunningham signed a 1-year deal with the Fever. 1 year. She took less money and less security to come to Indiana because she saw the opportunity. She's betting on herself that playing alongside Clark will showcase her skills and lead to a bigger contract next offseason. That's smart on her part, but it's also a risk for the Fever. If she plays well, she's going to price herself out of their budget next year. Kelly Krauskopf is going to have to make some tough decisions about who to retain and who to let walk, because the Fever are still operating under salary cap constraints, and they've got Kelsey Mitchell coming up for extension talks soon.
Solid game. Now they know. Now they know. They know, bro. We standing on business. Standing on business. Raven Johnson definitely stole the show. I ain't gonna lie to you. She did. Now, this report right here said that she played 18 minutes. The other one said she played 17 minutes. But whatever the case may be, man, incredible game. Incredible game, man. I'm starting to feel a little better. I might go live after this video. I don't know 100%, but we gonna wait and see. But y'all, let me know how y'all feel about this. Get down in the comment section. Keep them
The attendance and fan engagement around this team has completely transformed the economics of the franchise. This preseason game in Brooklyn had thousands of Fever jerseys in the crowd. Thousands for a preseason game in New York. Last season, the Fever averaged 6,800 fans per home game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. This season, they've already sold out their entire home schedule. Every single game, that's 17,000 seats per game, sold out before the season even starts. The revenue difference is staggering. Ticket sales, merchandise, local sponsorships, the Fever are projected to generate 3 times the revenue they did last season. That money matters because it gives ownership the confidence to invest in the roster, upgrade facilities, and build a sustainable winner. The WNBA's salary cap is tied to league revenue, so as the entire league grows, teams will have more flexibility to retain talent. But there's a darker side to this explosion in popularity that we need to address. The pressure on Caitlin Clark is unlike anything we've seen in women's basketball. She can't have a bad game without it becoming national news. She can't have a normal interaction with a teammate without people analyzing body language. The scrutiny is intense, and it's only going to increase. So here's what this preseason performance tells us about the Fever's ceiling this season, and why expectations need to be calibrated carefully. First, the positive case. This team has legitimate playoff potential. Last season, they won 13 games and missed the playoffs by 6 games. With this improved roster, better coaching continuity, and Clark's second-year development, they could realistically win 28 to 32 games. That would put them in the playoff mix, probably fighting for the 6th or 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. The defense has improved dramatically. Raven Johnson's presence alone is worth 5 or 6 wins over the course of a season, just based on how much better their defensive rating will be. Christy Sides can now run modern defensive schemes instead of praying for missed shots. The bench depth means they can survive foul trouble and injuries without completely falling apart. Last season, if Kelsey Mitchell or Aaliyah Boston got in foul trouble, the offense would stall out. Now they've got Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, and Damiris Dantas who can step in and produce. Caitlin Clark is going to be better in year 2. That's just how it works. She'll have a full training camp, she'll understand defensive schemes better, and she won't be dealing with the adjustment period from college to professional basketball. Her efficiency should improve, her turnovers should decrease, and her leadership will be more natural. But here's the reality check. This was one preseason game against a Liberty team that was clearly experimenting with rotations and not showing their full defensive playbook. Breanna Stewart played limited minutes. Sabrina Ionescu wasn't running their full offensive sets. This was not a playoff intensity game. When the regular season starts, teams are going to game plan specifically for the Fever. They're going to study Caitlin Clark's tendencies. They're going to test Raven Johnson's offensive limitations, and they're going to exploit any defensive weaknesses they can find. The Fever are going to face the best competition in the world every single night, and there will be growing pains. Aaliyah Boston didn't even play in this game. Neither did Lexi Hull. The Fever were missing key rotation players, which means we still don't know how all these pieces fit together when everyone's healthy. Chemistry takes time to develop, and this roster has a lot of new faces who need to learn how to play together. The schedule is brutal. The Fever play 40 games in 4 months with constant travel and back-to-backs. Last season, they were one of the worst teams in back-to-back situations, going 2-8 in those games. Can their improved depth solve that problem? Maybe, but it's going to be tested repeatedly. And then there's the pressure. The Fever are going to be the most watched team in the WNBA this season. Every game will be analyzed, every loss will be scrutinized, and every moment of adversity will be magnified. Can this young team handle that? Can Christy Sides manage the media circus while keeping her players focused? Can Caitlin Clark continue to develop while carrying the weight of an entire franchise on her shoulders? Those are the questions that matter. Because talent is one thing, executing under pressure is something else entirely. But if this preseason game is any indication, the Fever are ready to surprise people. They're not just competitive, they're legitimately good. The defense is real, the depth is real, and the chemistry is developing faster than anyone expected. Raven Johnson might be the steal of the draft. Sophie Cunningham might be the perfect complementary piece. Kelsey Mitchell might be entering her prime at exactly the right time. And Caitlin Clark might be ready to take the leap from great rookie to legitimate MVP candidate. The Eastern Conference should be worried, because the Indiana Fever are not here to participate, they're here to compete. And after watching them dismantle the Liberty in this preseason game, it's clear that the rest of the league better start taking them seriously. So what do you think? Are the Fever legitimate playoff contenders, or is this preseason hype going to fade when the real competition starts? Can Raven Johnson maintain this level of defensive intensity over a full season? And most importantly, how many wins do you think this roster is capable of achieving? Drop your predictions in the comments, hit that like button if you're excited about Fever basketball, and subscribe because we're covering this team all season long. This is going to be a wild ride.